Mark Dale of RX Safe Marin, and we are going to talk today about some of the organizations in Marin County who are working on the topics and issues that we have been discussing this past month and a half, 2 months. So let's start with, want to go big to little? How do we want to talk about
Sure,
this?
I'm gonna roll it out. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was thinking today, I really just want to give you a baker's dozen
Okay.
as the concept.
Perfect.
Since we're talking about donuts. So in Marin County, there's been this build out that's occurred over the last 10, 12 years. It's been kind of interesting in the world of substance use, abuse around our youth, mental health around our youth, teen suicide around our youth. And for me personally, my focus point really has been the youth. Because once you clear, they say if you can delay usage, be it pot or any other substance that can be addictive, if you could delay usage, you've got much less chance of addiction or a lower rate of addiction,
Okay.
is the way it's framed. But so as that teen is going through those development years and getting them up to the late teens, early 20s, and hopefully not have substances become a dominating factor in their life, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
One of the other huge components that we find over and over and over again is the lack of parent awareness or parent education. And the last couple shows we've done, I've brought the booklets for Let's Talk and Let's Start Talking.
Yeah.
Those are the middle school booklet and the high school booklet.
Right.
They're direct mail to parents. And the concept there is just really to get parents up to speed on what's around their kid potentially.
Right.
And then the insert, be it teen suicide or vaping or whatever that is around them. So those Let's Talk booklets have become a really shining star in the community in English and Spanish, and getting it out there to the home is huge. And then the support around it, the special community events. I think there's one coming up on March 2nd that you can zoom into and join and hear the conversation of what's going on. So that's important in and of itself. So that operation is handled under what's called Marin Healthy Youth Partnership. And Marin Healthy Youth Partnership, MHIP is the acronym. And if you go mhip.org, you can find them. And they are, again, DFC funded. So they're well funded, plus they're looking for other donors all the time. But they're a 501c3, and their efforts, mostly in the Redwood, Drake, Tam area, those high schools,
Okay.
Hall Middle School, all that whole community, they benefit really from MHIP. But what MHIP also does, this Let's Talk booklet, goes county-wide. So it's not just that area.
Right.
It actually, so, I give them kudos. The people behind it, Kelsey Fernandez, Linda Henn, and Lisa Klein, there's certain folks, and there's a real strong team on the board of directors there.
Nice.
And it's been an evolution that really has been. It wasn't an overnight entity. It had different formations over the years.
Right.
Boom. One of the people that I always love to point out is a mom named Lori Dubin. And Lori Dubin is phenomenal. I met her early in my process because she was hosting parent education evenings at different sites, mostly around Redwood. She's a Redwood High School mom, I think 2 boys and a girl. And, she was concerned that her kids can run into the buzzsaw at
Right.
Redwood. And so she felt that her best use of her efforts was to have these parent education nights. And she would end up bringing in some incredible speakers and authors.
Yeah.
Madeline Pierce, I think, is one of them. And I'll come up with the name of her book, but it's The Price of Privilege.
I have heard of that book.
And, I've seen her present at Hall or Redwood, and she's flown all over the country, mostly by high-dollar communities who want her to come in and talk about the price of privilege and what that does. And it's true. I mean, it plays out in Marin County really well.
Really well.
So many of the losses we've had have been middle to upper-class boys who just, given the silver spoon, but they just don't realize what the heck it is. If you're getting a BMW or Mercedes for your 16th birthday, you have no appreciation of what that is. You have no idea. So the price of privilege. But Madeline, some of the last times I've heard her speak, she talks about a high-dollar group in the Chicago area who bring her in annually. And finally, she had to say to them, you know what? I'm not coming out anymore because you guys are not following what I'm asking you to follow. And she gave them a wake-up call because it's like, I'm not just here to go out and make a check off speaker fees. I'm out here to help your community. And, I come back every year and I give you the dose of information, and I don't see that you guys are really embracing it and following it.
Yeah.
It's check the box. We've been here one night.
Right.
So what Lori Dubin has done is she created something called BTI, which stands for Be the Influence. And she has a website. She's a nonprofit that she launched a couple years ago. And she does a newsletter pretty much monthly. Okay. A lot of substance use abuse information in it. It's really for the parent community. And parents sign on and they make a pledge that if your kid is coming over to my house with my kids, it's going to be a safe house. I'm going to make sure that they're in a safe space. I'm not going to throw them a party. Right. I'm not going to give them the handles of vodka. Right. I'm not going to go out and smoke a joint with your kid.
Right.
These kinds of things. And so there's a real parent pledge aspect to it. And I think it's also watching out for other people's kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great apparatus that if you're noticing that one of the kids around, one of the friends around your child is exhibiting maybe depression, or maybe you notice some cutting, maybe you see them just under the influence a lot. Yeah. Maybe it's incumbent upon you to inform the parent of that child and say, hey, look, I just want to let you know that this is what I'm seeing. You might not be seeing it at home, right, because they might clean up their act when they get home. Right. Which is normal. But when I see your kid out and about, and the risk of that is that it can blow back on the parent, it can blow back on the friend, on the kid. Yeah. But BTI has been very good. And I think Lori Dubin, her heart and soul is in it, and it's been a very good effort. Nice. And it's been a positive thing. So, any thoughts on what I've shared so far? Because I got a lot more to share. I think we're doing an hour today. So.
I'm always intrigued by parent and community involvement outside of the school environment, and how well it works if people are about it. Because there's a very individualistic, insular, don't air your dirty laundry, mind your business, let that kind of, that's not my kid, so it's not my job to parent that child. And I don't know if that's recent or if it depends on the demographic. I grew up in a very different environment. I was told on multiple occasions by multiple people's mothers, just remember that we all talk.
I love that.
On multiple occasions. And it was yeah, you might get away with some things at so-and-so's house, but that hard line exists in every household. And it's because it's been set by all the parents. They know what it is. I'm interested to know how educators, administrators take the work that this woman is doing and implement it. So we know that she recognizes when it's not being implemented.
Well, I think the way it functions is that school administrators and teachers are not necessarily directly involved with BTI. I believe it's much more of parent to parent to parent to parent, that kind of chain. Yeah. And I know that Lori and the folks around her present at different PTA meetings, PTSA meetings, that kind of thing. I see. Just really, because what happens in school worlds, from my experience, you have some highly engaged parents, well-meaning parents, but they become dominant parents too in the community environment. Yeah. And it gets frustrating at times because it's really hard to raise your voice when somebody around you is just trying to dominate and take up all the oxygen in the room. Yeah. So I think that's where the effectiveness of it, plus I haven't shared this before, but this is a reality in middle school, high school, college. It's a moving target, meaning that it is a crop of students that keep on moving through. Parents and families keep on moving through. Yeah. So unless you have 2 or 3 kids where you're at that district and you're going through those schools over a 20-year span, right, you're not going to, so if you're a one-off and your kid is just zipping right through, you're gone. Yeah. So it is tough. And every year, you almost have to repeat that same information like almost every year. And I think that's part of the magic of the Let's Talk booklets is that, look, you're getting that information at sixth grade parent because transition year.
Yeah.
Ninth grade parent is a different booklet, but up a stronger booklet.
Refresher.
Transition year.
Yeah.
And then college, when kids go to their freshman year at college, they are mandated to take this online alcohol and drug information. Almost
that's
all,
new.
Yeah, almost all colleges and universities, it's mandated that they have to because the amount of trouble that students get into at the college university level is amazing, and how many kids we lose nationally. It's anywhere from 3,500 to 5,000 students nationally we lose from alcohol, substance, and suicide, and those stay in there.
The transition from high school to college is the most of that pipeline. Like sixth grade transition year, ninth grade transition year. That transition from high school to college is the most like bizarro world transition that kids make. They go from living in their parents' homes, having a job for pocket money, maybe. We're talking about one end of the spectrum, right? To living surrounded 24/7 by their peers. Some of them aren't even legal yet. They're still 17. They're expected to manage and monitor themselves completely. And it is, that number is tragic, but I'm surprised it's not higher.
Yeah, for me, having gone through all three of our kids, I'm a big supporter of the community college environment.
Yes.
Because it's a transition. Again, you're able to transition. And what's cool about community colleges, a lot of folks don't really realize this. If you're in high school, you can do something called concurrent enrollment at like College Marin, for example. And you could be taking a class there that's going to give you credits both at the college level and at the high school level. And it's really sweet. I mean, it's the right way to go. Then there's another form of that when you're at College Marin that you could go to UC Berkeley, and it's concurrent enrollment at UC Berkeley.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people don't know that. And that's another step. Now, you don't want to screw up when you're at UC Berkeley taking a class. You want to make sure you're getting the grade there the best you can.
Right.
But it's really cool because, again, it gives you that 2 or 3 years that you might be at College Marin, and some people stay there much longer, I understand. But 2 to 3 years, if you're at College Marin, you are getting a closer to home environment. You have not left the home. And in our case, because the difficulties we went through around our second son, our older son and our daughter both really, I think, wanted to stay closer to home. They just were not feeling good about leaving to go to a 4-year environment. And 4-year schools, there's such a sell job that occurs that it really, it's the business of education. And it's not cool, in my opinion.
I agree.
So I want to reflect on something else you said earlier, though, that's really important. And it goes back to modeling. Okay? So if in the home, you're smoking the joint around your kids, or you're drinking a lot, and even that glass of wine, the second glass of wine, mom's getting a little bit, the wine is really pushed on females much more than the guys in many ways. White wine's for female, red wine for men. This kind of thing is bullshit. So what happens is there's a organization that's been trying to do this, and it's called Raising the Bar. And the concept of this is that around our kids and around, so it says keep youth events substance free. So basically, if you've got Little League or you've got a fundraiser for a school site, or you've got, your kids and students are around, let's tone down the alcohol around them. Let's really model so much better around the kids. Especially because, okay, you're trying to raise the money, but unfortunately what they say is, like, for example, high dollar private schools, they're trying to get the big fundraiser.
Increase the wallet.
Well, yeah, exactly. The wallets will open up much easier if somebody's getting a little bit more to drink.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I'm privy. Speaking on that, it's interesting. My son is 9, as you guys know by now. Very observant child. And he asked me, I was having a really stressful day. And I was like sitting on the couch doing one of these numbers, and he was like, "Mom, do you need a glass of wine?" I was like,
"From a 9-year-old."
Excuse me, excuse me. He was like, "Isn't that what moms do when they're stressed out? They have a glass of wine." I was like, "Baby, when was the last time you saw me drink anything alcoholic?" He's like, I don't know.
Wow. So he got that message from somewhere.
From everywhere.
Yeah.
From
TV,
ads, YouTube, like the memes, like it's not that I have never drank around him. It's that I do it so infrequently that while he knows that he should be associating that behavior with me, he's got nothing to mirror it to. Like, it's not a reality for him. So there's where that confusion is. Like, this is, and again, that's that conversation that you can have. Like, son, just because media is telling you what's normal doesn't mean that it is. Doesn't mean that that's the standard, or it's that it's something that you should be aspiring to.
Isn't it amazing?
Picture.
He sees you stressed out or
No
a hard
stress.
day.
Yeah.
And
Stressed
he
all the way
comes,
out.
Mom, would you like a glass of wine?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you need a glass of wine? I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Did you find out where he got that? Did he identify?
No, I was like, why would, because I was so focused. I was like, is this something that he's witnessed in me so frequently that it's reactionary for him?
Yeah.
And so I asked, I was like, when was the last time you, like, is this a common occurrence for me? He's like, no.
Yeah. I get it.
But yeah, it is interesting how targeted alcohol particularly is to like this nuanced group. Like, adults know if something is alcoholic or non-alcoholic. Kids don't know. If they see a bevy of drinks in cans in a cooler, they're not going to be able to know what is non-alcoholic and what is alcoholic.
Good take.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's just as easily sellable to young people.
Yep.
Like, it looks like bubbly fizzy drink.
Well, that's the Alcopops. That was a big campaign. Alcohol Justice is another group in the county that's been doing some good work, nonprofit. They were originally named the Marin Institute under the Buck Fund settlement kind of thing. And then they did a whole focus group, and they decided to become the watchdog for the alcohol industry. And I became aware of them years ago because they had a whole Alcopops campaign. So these are high sugar, sweet, high alcohol drinks that are really targeted toward the kids. And that's the concept, is that, and so should your 7-Eleven or whatever store be selling these to the youth community? No, they should not.
No.
And I agree with you when it comes to the hard seltzers, hard ciders.
I mean,
all these
you
kinds
can
of
get
things.
like full-blown mixed drinks. Like, why are we selling vodka Collins in soda cans? In six-packs?
Exactly. I think I shared with you previously that I was at one of the high schools, locally, public high school. I know it well. And I was there for a meeting. I came out, and even when I drove in, I saw a lot of garbage in the parking lot. I'm like, somebody's not cleaning up. And then I look closer, and it's all these cans of hard ciders, and these are alcoholic beverages that are sitting here in the high school parking lot. You know, somebody's hitting their drink, and it's like, wow, this is, and it is. There's so much advertising, and the alcohol industry, gobs and gobs and gobs of money. I mean, just when you understand how big alcohol, big tobacco, big cannabis, how these really function and work, and how much money is flying. Yeah. And it's all addictive substances.
Yeah. They're all drugs.
Yeah.
With the same impact to youth. And it's always interesting when I talk about, because I obviously drink. I am not a teetotaler. I enjoy alcohol. I've been a bartender for the majority of my adult life. But my introduction to, and I did not have, like, Cesar. I did not have the complete divergence of alcohol in my childhood. Like, I came from that family that, you know, if I asked Dad for a sip of his beer, he was like, have some of the beer, whatever.
Yeah.
I started drinking wine when I think I was like 14, and it was like a half a glass of wine, sit with one of my parents, and it was this like very adult thing to do.
It's more the European model. They say, you know, it's like normalized.
Yeah.
In a cool, moderate way.
Yeah, very, very, very moderate. Like, So by the time I got into high school, at that point I was operating at athlete level, and I was like, I'm not doing anything. Nothing is going in my body. I'm a performer at this point. And then I hit my senior year, and at this point it had been driven home to me that no police phone calls were to be made to my home. It would not end well for me.
Yep.
Keep your butt clean until you were 18 and nobody's calling your parents. And I didn't really start drinking until almost graduation. Like, it was a couple of months before, I think, when I really started. And it was like, what is the environment that I'm walking into that I'm going to be drinking in? Is it a kickback? Is it me, 6 of my friends, like with 2 6-packs having a beer and watching a movie? I was not at Ragers. I was not, you know what I mean? And it's this dichotomy, right? So we see there's what parents know, choose not to know, their side of it, right? And then there's this kid track where there's this spectrum, you said moving target, this spectrum of children that are introduced to drugs, whether it's alcohol, cannabis, or narcotics, in various forms, and you never know which kid you're going to hit when you're going through that system, or which kid is going to move into which lane because of some experience that they have had.
Yeah.
And I wonder, to go back to your Baker's Dozen, are there different groups that are targeting different forms of education for those lanes, or are we just are we splatter?
Well, scattershot. I think what happens is there's in the world I've functioned in. I like to say this, that 33% of students generally won't touch things. 33% will dabble. 33% will. So the dynamic there is that I believe 100% of our students are at risk.
Okay.
Because on a bad day, at a bad moment, a bad pill, you could have a tremendously horrific outcome. Okay, so put that one there. And I think that what happens is at different school sites, they're very protective. So if you're trying to bring in a curriculum, and that's a big conversation going on in the county right now, how do we get a curriculum? Well, curriculum gain in is not easy, and rightfully so, because from a teacher's perspective, they only have so many minutes per day with the kids.
Right.
Once the kids come into the classroom and settle down, you lose a few minutes there. Once they're starting to head out that door, you lose a few minutes there.
Right.
So really, what's that time that you have with them to have quality instruction time?
Right.
And then what's the importance of what you're trying to instruct? So a lot of the drug alcohol education in a high school is at 9th grade in the health classes.
Right.
PE, health, kind of along there.
Still truncated.
So when it comes to the different kids, it's tough because I know there was a fatal car crash this weekend up in Nevada. I do not know from the initial word, not drug alcohol related. I do not know anything right now. I don't know texting. I really know so little about it, although I know one student was lost. Another student is in intensive care from what I know. I don't know the other injuries. So what do you know about it?
I know that there was one fatality, and there were 3 students involved. One fatality, one in critical. I'm not sure how the other one is doing, but that's literally all that's been.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think they hit a tree. I think.
It was a single car.
But up in Nevada again, they had a huge double fatal back. I have to look at what year it was. But Sue Hunt LeMay was the mom of one of the kids, and she is the one who really championed the social host ordinance. So if you are a parent and you are going to allow a party at your home, you are liable. You're responsible. You could be cited. You could be fined.
That's the way it should be.
Heck yeah. I'm sorry. You're the adult in the room.
Right.
And, even if you're out of town and your kid goes ahead and has the party in your home, again, you're liable. And in that case, the kids, the girl whose parents were out of town, apparently she started to freak out because the party was getting too big. It was just getting out of control.
Yeah.
So she was saying, sheriff's coming, sheriff's coming. All the kids jumped in their cars, inebriated. And this one pickup truck in particular slammed it into a tree at 80 miles an hour, and driver dead, very bad dead. Sue's son was passenger seat. He got out, helped another kid who had gotten ejected out of the vehicle, and then he started to pass. And so those two, So when you look at how things happen, and the triple fatal that we had on Samuel P. Taylor.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, what it comes down to is students talk to each other and student information flies so much faster
Yep.
than the adults.
Yeah.
And you get in this funny dance starting in middle school. Start to give your kids space. Give your kids space to, don't be a helicopter mom. Don't be a helicopter dad. This kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you got to give them space. Then high school, it's even more.
Yeah.
High school, they want to see, the administrators, teachers want to see very little of you. Okay, if you want
Which
to be...
is crazy to me.
Which is true, because that's where the risk dynamics start to go higher. And so you could have a parent who's preschool, kindergarten, elementary is in the classroom doing volunteer work, around little one.
Yeah.
Okay, middle school, start to separate, give them more space. Well, that's when shit starts getting introduced in their world.
Right.
Introduced. And then you go into high school, and it's like, okay.
They're little grown-ups now. Give them the...
And one more case that I think I mentioned before. Loey Vasquez was an incredible soccer player in the community. Marin Academy, got over UC Berkeley, and he, as a freshman at UC Berkeley, he was varsity soccer, which is incredible. Yeah. And he went down with a bunch of his buddies down to USC for a bonding experience, and it turned out to be a big frat party. And at some point, he was inebriated, and he wanted to go to the beach. Well, there's no beach around USC. So, he thinks he's going to walk to the beach, and this is at midnight, 1 a.m., and apparently he unfortunately tried to run across Highway 10, Santa Monica Highway, and got hit multiple times. And that what the family went through, his two younger brothers, mom, no, that's not the outcome that we want our youth to experience. And it's like in the world of females, there's a wingman. Yeah. So if you're going out, you have your girlfriends looking out for you, and that's with guys, it's not quite the same thing.
No, it's not.
But you got to have each other's back.
Yeah.
And in that case with Loey, there should have been a case where one friend, no, sit down. Right. We'll go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just chill.
Or it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I just think I don't have a lot of it. I can only speak from my experience, right? And yeah. I think I don't know where it comes from or at what point it was really ingrained in me that like my safety was my responsibility.
Me too. And in high school, there was one party in particular where I had a little bit to drink and it hit me odd, and maybe I threw up or something. And I think it hit me that, whoa, wait a minute, I could be out of control.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm driving home, okay, and all that can come down upon you.
Yeah.
If you get caught under the influence, all this stuff, yeah.
So many things. Like I don't know if it was just that I was made very clearly aware of all of the repercussions that could happen if I made these choices. Just the idea, I've been to multiple frat parties. I went to frat parties in Berkeley. I went to ASU.
Yeah.
Like huge party school, right? Like, but the idea of being out of control in an environment like that was horrifying to me.
I mean, females. You know how many females have heard stories of they're blackout drunk and they get raped by or gang raped. I mean, it's real. When you allow yourself to be incapacitated, and I get it. Once you're starting to be under the influence of that substance,
right,
you're not in your right mind.
Right.
And so, I can drive home. I'll be fine. I'll drive home. And you hit somebody, you kill them. Your life is changed horrifically if you survive the crash.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Same thing, females. I mean, the amount of trauma.
Right.
Can you imagine? And these cases that occur. And it happens much more than people realize. Because it happens and it doesn't get reported.
Right.
Because it will affect your life if you report it.
Scary situations that youth find themselves in, that there's no prepping them for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to have those conversations with your kids. You have to be willing to have what are the consequences for your actions conversations. And you have to start really young.
Well, I think that something else you said is being an athlete. Being an athlete, you have to be in tune with your body, in touch with your body. And I have noticed that in the athletic world, I was invited into a couple of sessions at St. Ignatius for the lacrosse team, the boys' varsity lacrosse team. And the coach was really concerned that the boys were hitting pot or drinking too much, and he wanted an assist to kind of help them calm down.
Wow.
And it really was a beautiful time because you're helping the student understand responsibility for yourself, responsibility for your teammate.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. It's like, what if one of your leading scorers got injured, hurt, dead over a substance, and you could have done something, so it becomes this, instead of thinking of yourself all the time, it's responsibility for others. Yeah.
The collective versus the individual.
And just like the moms you were talking about, where they talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Communicate. Can't do it. Whether it was I'm staying at so-and-so's house tonight and so-and-so's parents are a little bit more lenient about the curfew.
Yeah.
And we're out. And I remember one time we were out and we were out past curfew and we got picked up and this mom was like, your mother called. I told her that I was on my way to come and get all the girls. She says, call her when you get back and don't do this again. And now I know when your curfew is and we will adjust.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, okay.
Good, because you know what? Some parents they want to be the cool parent.
Yeah.
They want to be the cool mom. And, here, you could have a little drink just to tell your parents. It's like, okay,
that's the other thing. Secrets amongst youth are very dangerous.
Yep.
Very dangerous. I recently have been thinking about how to recategorize secrets for my littles. Secrets between your friends when you're little, it's okay if your friend tells you something. Secrets from adults, you're a child. There is no reason why you should have a secret with an adult.
Yeah.
There isn't one.
I agree, because a lot of predators use that, don't tell anybody, shh, it's our secret kind of thing.
Yep.
But I also go to one thing, if a child knows that a friend of theirs is being abused or if something is happening, creating that safe space for your child to share it with you, because you're the adult in the room and you need to be the one to be able to check in with yourself and say, okay, if their friend is getting something. Michael Pritchard, who's been here so much, he's shared stories that he'll be in the middle of a session with a bunch of elementary school students having a great time, and then all of a sudden one of the students will spill the beans.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's as a mandated reporter. I think almost any adult around almost any child, not just teachers, you should almost be a mandated reporter. If you're coming across something that is hitting your brain and saying, ooh, there's a problem here.
Yeah.
You need to take steps to help fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the huge thing. So I get that look in your eye that it's starting to... Is it wind down time? Or is it...
No, we're good.
Okay.
I think we're okay. We're going to break the fourth wall. Oh, we're gonna circle the wagons a little bit. Because you opened a lot of the doors in the windows in this house of what's being done for the youth in our community. And I know that there are a lot of rooms in this house, a lot of different organizations who are trying to come at this problem from every aspect, which I'm so thankful for, because I know how bad it has gotten since I was in school. Makes me sound so old.
30 years ago.
30 years ago. Surely not. And I want, I know that this is going to be a continued conversation because we really only got to like 2. But I think next week, I would love to talk about how we'll go through a couple more of these groups, because I think it's important that we give them their moment in the spotlight, because the work that they do is incredibly important and incredibly hard. Again, moving target, changing demographics, community backlash, general ignorance.
Yep.
Like, there's so many things that they have to work against while also trying to save lives. And so I want to continue to speak with them, but I also want to take a moment to talk about the kids who make it out. I want to talk about the success stories. We talk a lot about the tragedies, and I would like to take a moment to talk about the kids who were reached. Got it. Who we saved, how we helped, and how what's been done in this house that's being built to save all of these kids, how they're bringing them out to the other side.
Well, one of the organizations that I'll share next time is what used to be called the Marin County Youth Court, or the YMCA, Marin County Youth Court. And I know it well. And I know Don Carney, who is the one who really built it. And George Peglow also was involved in the early days. And so when you look at the work they've done, during the pandemic, he transitioned it. So now it's called Youth Transforming Justice. And it was just in the IJ in the last couple of days.
Trevor just sent me the article. They got a huge grant.
Yeah,
That's
like $1 million
amazing.
over 3 years.
Yes.
300, and it came from, where'd the money come from? Did you see that?
I don't know.
Marijuana money.
Yo.
So the tax on cannabis that was meant to help youth, somehow, some way, it all kind of came together. And I know MCOE, San Rafael City Schools, probation, they were all involved in this process too. I guess that's how he was able to get it. But again, how you help, and this is what triggered it for me a while ago, is that Don shared something. There's a book about helping your children navigate the toxic pond.
Okay.
So we have to realize that in Marin County, we don't just have clean blue water. We actually have toxic ponds that our kids swim in. And how you help them navigate through that and come out successfully.
Yeah.
Not damaged, not having life-altering events or life-ending events.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important, and I think we can get into it deeper because I've also mentioned the Squire program at San Quentin, which has been another transformational program. But that's really for hardcore identified youth that are really in the midst of almost becoming full-blown gang members.
Right.
That's more so what that exists for, but you're going to San Quentin.
Yeah, San Quentin's an experience. San Quentin is an experience. If you are not familiar with the penal system, it is. I'm going to go off topic, guys. Stay with me. San Quentin is a paradox in that it is on a prime piece of real estate in Marin County.
Yep.
With one of the most amazing views that you will see in southern Marin. And it's a maximum security prison. I mean, that is a mind bleep. Like, I have not.
Oh, it's NIMBYism to the max.
Like,
not in my backyard.
that were walking around that place.
Yep.
And the segregation that was occurring both institutionally and self-segregation within the community, within the prison system. And then I got on the blacktop, which overlooks the bay, and I'm like, this is hell.
Yeah.
This is hell. To live in one of the most beautiful places on the West Coast, to exist, I won't say live, that's questionable. To exist in one of the most beautiful places on the West Coast and to see it every single day and to be separated by chain link and barbed wire.
Yep. Yeah.
That's hell. Yeah. And I parallel that to Marin City and Tiburon and Belvedere. To literally share a view. The highest socioeconomic group in Marin and the lowest socioeconomic group in Marin.
Yep.
They're looking at each other, and one of them is very aware of the dynamic, and the other one chooses not to.
Yep, I agree with you. It's a total juxtaposition. I love.
I mean, San Quentin is a perfect reflection of that.
Yep.
Like the not in my backyard.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
And also how justice is weeded out. Is really unfortunate. And that's a whole topic for another time.
The prison industrial system will not be going into that today.
Yeah, but if you got the money, and if you got the right attorney, almost no matter what you do, you might be able to get yourself off.
Yeah.
Or greatly diminished, sentencing and everything. Depending on who. But if you don't have the means, you're right in the bullseye.
Yeah.
And it becomes a very difficult game. So coming back to schools, though, I mean, one of the things Don Carney has worked on is the schools to prison pipeline.
Yes.
And really trying to break that pattern.
Yeah.
So
How far down the pipeline is he starting?
you know, I'd have to ask him because I think where he was looking at was in Marin County schools. And we'll talk next time. When kids get in trouble, where do they go? The kid, and how their lives can be turned around. Because not every student is supposed to be at a comprehensive school site.
Right.
Not every student is meant to go to a 4-year college.
Right.
Some students are meant to go in the trades.
Right.
If you're a plumber, an electrician, you can make a beautiful living.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get real about it.
Yeah.
But there's this cell job that occurs that, you have to have your 4-year degree. And now a 4-year degree is like a high school diploma.
Right.
Now you have to have your master's or
Right.
PhD. So it becomes this constant drumbeat that gets very frustrating on parents, on families, on students,
Yeah.
because it goes to performance. And if they don't think they're performing high enough to mom and dad's expectations,
Yeah.
then they start to self-medicate
Right.
and they start to get depression.
Right.
And it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So then ending ending that race themselves gives them power, but it also is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And that is getting them through it. So
Yeah.
I'll continue more later, but yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Donuts for Breakfast today. We will be closer, if not on time, next week. Please comment on our shows. If you have anything that you would like to ask questions about or discuss with us, we're going to continue doing this until we find the end of the road. And we might just have to make a whole new map. There's just so much information that we have to share and that questions that I have. And Donuts for Breakfast is about building a community. And in order to build a community, we have to be aware of what the needs and wants of the community are, right?
Exactly.
And we have to be made aware of what the resources are for our community. So that's what we're doing with Markdale. And we're going to continue doing this until until we move forward. And I think it's going to be a great time next week. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. So thank you for joining us, and share a smile, share your story. It might save a life. Thank you for being people helping people. We'll
Thank
see you
you,
next
Ra.
week.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Got it.